is about to explode. Fight!
Alright, so we're doing our first ever response video to Unleaded Logic, and I also saw a few other people I watched answer his question to and do a response. I'm a little late on it due to technical difficulties, but hey, whatever, here we go. In response to the question of, if you collect, how much is too much? Let's get started. And when it comes to how much is too much, I think it kind of comes down to answering, well, probably about two questions. First one is how big do you want your collection to get? Now for me, I actually happen to own most of the systems I already want. A lot of them I've just been collecting ever since I was a kid. I don't know, it's just the way it's went. I've taken good care of my stuff. But I've bought a few systems, odds and ends and whatnot as I've went along. And when it comes down to it, if I start collecting any more systems at this point, I've got to start collecting the bad systems like Jaguar CD or the CDI or something like that. And it's kind of pointless because I know it's something I'm not going to play, and I know it's something that's just going to sit around, so why get it unless, you're just that kind of collector and you just got to have it because you've never played a Philips CDI before. Or just to have it as a reference point. I guess if you've got an alternate reason for it, then that might be okay. But other than that, why? Well, that covers the system end of things, but let's talk about the games. Yeah, because that's where a lot of the collecting comes in. Now, I've got a lot of games. I'm right now a little above 700 games as for where it stands. But you want to know something that's interesting? Unlike some of the people that I know that collect, I've actually played every single game that's sitting in my video game room. Every last one of them. Well, except for one. I've been sitting on it here for about a month or so. And I've got a couple I just bought, but trust me, they're going to find their way in the system soon enough. But we'll come back to the one game at the end of this video. Now, I do have a certain part of my collection that actually isn't considered, I guess, good or decent. This is my bad games. I like to refer to this actually as my AVGN games. Why AVGN? Well, because that's the Angry Video Game Nerd, and it just happens to be that most of the bad games that I've collected, and I actually do kind of like to play these for, if nothing more, nostalgic value, but he's actually covered most of them. So thanks, James. I appreciate the videos throughout the years and whatnot, but well, what is this? This is an interactive encyclopedia. That's not even a game. Get that out of here. You know what? Let's get back on subject. So now we come to the other end of the equation, because you've got how big do you want your collection to get, but I really think you've got to ask yourself on the tail end of that is how much can you actually handle? Now, I've known some guys that have actually let games just totally rule their lives. And at that point, if it's interfering with your life or your relationships, or especially financially, if you can't handle it, I think it's probably time to call it quits, or at least take a break or reevaluate or something, because that's just the way it goes. I mean, if you can't handle it, you can't handle it. Now, like I said earlier, most of my game collection I've actually collected over the years, and even when I go out a majority of the year when I go to buy games, I don't pay any more than like $10 to $20 for a game for a majority of the year. I only buy like 2 or 3 actual new releases. Now, I do think it's also important to note that if your house looks like it came from Hoarder's Video Game Edition, it's probably time to take a break, sell some of that stuff off, and get priorities back in order. Like I said, I've got most of the systems that I actually want, but I do have a few duplicates, but that's mainly more to have backups. I've actually had a few points where I've had 3, 4, 5 systems at the same time, mainly because people just kind of donate this stuff to me at this point, which is cool. Thanks for donating. I do appreciate it. But when I get multiples like that, I just give them to my buddies that are looking to start their own collections. Pass it along, I guess. So when it comes to how much is too much, do I think I have too much? Not really, because the pacing in which things are coming in and the way that I go about doing it, it never really it doesn't come anywhere close to like putting any kind of restraint or anything on me. It's literally been, at this point, almost a 30-year process of collecting games. Okay, well, fair note, I didn't really start until I was probably, what, 5 or 6, so let's call it 25 years. But long story short is, I think I'm doing just fine. I don't know about some of the other guys. Some might ask, well, why do you collect? Another video for another time. But let's get back to the one game I haven't played yet. And it's probably gonna suck. So come back next time and we're gonna play this.